Okay, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Happy Friday. Well, I have a beautiful day in sunny Florida. I don't know about the rest of you, but I want to introduce my buddy Robert Gill, who I've now worked with for a few years. So, Robert, welcome to the show. How you doing, brother?
Everything's going well. Thank you for having me, man.
No problem. So, he's in East Coast of Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Miami. I'm in the West Coast of Florida. So, I walk outside every day and I say, "Thank God for this weather, man. Holy cow."
Well, I'll tell you the beautiful thing about Florida, man, is that if it starts raining in 15 minutes or 20 minutes, it should be gone. But as well as, it can rain at any moment or any time. So
yeah,
that's one of the beautiful things about Florida, the beaches, of course, the environment. So it just depends where you are in Florida. I'm not actually too sure how the life is up there where you're at because I've never lived there. But definitely in South Florida, there's really good environment.
Well, we're going to get to business, but I'll say one thing. Every year, Labor Day weekend, I'd be sitting on my boat, like on suicide watch, because I knew that, September and October in the Northeast is beautiful. But then, then when it turns, it gets gray and dark. And it's literally gray and dark from like November 1st to like May 20th or whatever. And it's horrible. Yeah. Anyway, but look, the business in New York and New Jersey, and I realize now how grateful I've always should have been for my clients in New Jersey, because like the loans are good, the clients are good. There's a lot of money. There's great people. So I'm very grateful. And still 70% of my loans come from New Jersey. Anyway, let me introduce you. So guys, Robert and I started working together a couple of years ago, and he's got a really interesting company that he'll explain to you. And basically what we were doing is we were partnering up with, myself as a lender and a real estate agent. And we were getting people in the room virtually and educating them on how to buy real estate. And so many of you know, if you've seen the Velocity Money curriculum, we have a fantastic curriculum, but I'm clearly not a, marketing guy from the perspective of social media and internet marketing and understanding how to get people in the room. And you did one, I think initially with Chris Tarter, right? And I was like,
yeah, I love Chris recently too.
Yeah, Chris is an awesome dude and a friend of mine. And so I hit up Robert, and then we did a couple together. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about how your organization works?
So first and foremost, I remember a few years back when you were doing in-person seminars, and a lot of the ideas came from what we were doing previously was because of the fact that a lot of the people that we were talking to, they were doing in-person seminars. And although it is effective, it's just very cost intensive. Meaning that the operational cost is just much higher and the ROI is much lower if you were to actually do it online. So that's where the whole concept came from. So I've been doing this for a little over 5 years now. I've been doing real estate and mortgage marketing for these past 5 years. And I have to say that we used to run a lot of Google, Facebook, and Instagram ads. We used to have a virtual assistant getting those leads and calling them and scrubbing them down. And once we've actually got them scrubbed in, whether they were working with another realtor, whether they need pre-approval, if they needed pre-approval, do they have the income credit, down payment, all that good stuff. Once we deem them as a high quality person, then we will either live transfer it to that realtor or mortgage professional, and then they would go ahead and take it from there, or that we would just book an appointment on their calendar if they weren't available. So that was working out really well. But one of the biggest concerns that we had is just like, hey, these guys aren't motivated. These guys, they don't know anything about me. So what that rung as a bell for me was that these people were too cold, way too cold. And it's very difficult to convert somebody too cold in the process or too early in the process of home buying. So what do we need to do? We need to warm them up, right? So that's where the webinar concept started coming in. And we're just like, okay, how can we attract people to a certain platform where we can educate them about a certain process? And then from there, it starts motivating them to moving forward. And we can make our clients look like an expert or as an authority in their market. And then we just thought webinars. We have to do webinars. So we came up with an entire system regarding webinars to make it extremely simple and easy for the realtor or the MLO to be able to educate an audience without little to no work. So how is that done? So we do all the marketing campaigns, we do all the ads, we do all of the offers, we do all of the follow-up in terms of getting them to show up to the webinar. The realtor or the mortgage professional, what do we do with them? We train them up, we rehearse with them, we give them a slide deck with all the curriculum pre-made, we get them customized to them, or we get the information customized to them, like the headshots, logos, make sure that we're compliant too with housing regulations. From there, once we rehearse, we do all the marketing, make sure that we get all the people to show up to the webinar. And once they show up, you present for 30 minutes for presentation and 30 minutes of questions and answers so you can interact with your audience. So from there, you're going to have an MC and a moderator to help you out in that process so they can position you as that expert or authority. So I know it's a lot being said, but overall, what the realtor and the MLO has to do is literally onboard with us, rehearse with us, and execute the webinar, and their entire calendar will be booked out for the next week or so. We're talking about 30 to 50 appointments is usually what we see. People that have the income, people that have the credit. So we screen for quality as well. And during that webinar, we just make the offer of a free strategy call. So that is basically it. I give away the secrets and I sell the implementation. That is how I like to work. And that's how we actually ended up working with Frank. So Frank, tell them a little bit about the results and overall what your experience was with the webinars.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing because look, the synergy that we had was that you also believed in educating the consumer, the first-time home buyer, right? So you were doing it in your webinar and I was doing it live. So we're sort of equally yoked in our mindset that we have to educate the people. But I mean, every 100, 150 people we got in the room, which is hard to do, we were getting 30, 40, 50 appointments. And, certainly there's always going to be some tire kickers that are, not ready to buy for a year or two, or think they're not ready to buy for a year or two. But we often show them that the gap isn't as large, right? Like you might be closer to buying than you think, but, and then there's going to be a couple people that need their credit repair. And then there's going to be people that just want to be educated. So, one of the things that actually I learned from you, because I was, if any of you guys have seen my seminar, like the only knock on the seminar might be that I was giving too much information. So the information that I was trying to give to people in an hour when I did it live is really an entire coaching course, which Robert's actually helping me build out. That's a lot of work. So one of the things you said is, look, number one, virtual seminars are better. A, because it's a heavy lift. B, you could get 50, 60, 70% no-show rate in the live, right? It's much easier for people in this sort of virtual Zoom world to just sit at their kitchen table. Right. But the other part of it is peel it back and give people smaller doses. Like the first-time home buyer wants to know how to buy their first home, right? And here I'm going like, well, dude, like I could show you how to buy 3 properties. And they're like, oh, it's like drinking from a fire hose. So the results are tremendous. But laziness exists with loan officers and agents too, right? So, 5% of the loan officers and agents are fired up to make a lot of money, and the other 95%, right? So you have to follow up on the leads. You got to call the lead immediately. You got to talk to them about what your value is. But the nice thing is, in the webinar, if you do it right, you're teaching them for free in the beginning, right? And building trust. See, that's the biggest problem I see is, and we literally over the last couple of years have tried all these different companies that advertise for leads for mortgage people. And like, there's a lot of garbage out there. Right. And so America doesn't trust. So America needs to trust, which like Grant Cardone will tell you 20 years ago, he started giving a lot of free information so that people would trust them. And then he would invite them to a seminar where they had to pay. So the nice part, obviously, of doing loans is they don't have to pay us. We make money by selling the loan. Now, if somebody's fired up to be a real estate millionaire and they say, I want to be a real estate millionaire, great, join the coaching course. So the results with Robert were tremendous. And, I was so excited over the last couple of years that I was actually chasing him, right? How many times did I leave you a message to say, dude, like we need to freaking launch this coaching platform because I know I have the best curriculum in the nation. I just needed to do a better job of reaching the nation. So the results are tremendous, and I'm really excited about what we're putting together.
Yeah, and just to add on that, I always think about like what we can do for our clients as the realtor or the mortgage professional. I'm always thinking about that. But there's sometimes where I'm just like thinking how much impact we're actually having with home buyers and sellers and in the real estate community as well, because we're doing this across the entire United States, and we're thinking is just like how many home buyers are now educated. And so far, we've actually done the math. We've helped over 100,000 home buyers get
Wow.
educated
Wow.
across the entire United States.
That's
So
nuts.
that's for us. Like we're not in the millions just yet, but we're getting there. We're a tenth of the way getting there. So many home buyers have been educated about the home buying process, and we're actually helping creating good cause, or we're creating goodwill in the real estate community, and we're helping all of these realtors and mortgage professionals be seen,
Yeah.
because it's difficult to call yourself an expert nowadays, right? But when you have somebody position you as that expert, it's a different kind of dialogue. When somebody books an appointment on your calendar because they really want to work with you is different when somebody calls you to book, oh, I'm going to set an appointment for you. The motivation level is just 10 times different when they're doing all the work themselves to be able to get to you.
Yeah.
So like that's a big shift that I actually learned throughout the years of just like that repositioning of that, we call it paradigm shifts, in your mentality to be able to be like, I want them coming to me. I want to attract the buyer or the seller to come to me.
Yeah.
Right. So how can we do that for our clients? How can we make them be seen as that authority? So that's where everything comes into place. And I've actually seen like when realtors and mortgage professionals come to me, it's like, Robert, how are you getting around the whole higher interest rate, and higher price points of homes, situation? I'm like, education.
Right.
You need to educate them that yes, interest rates are higher than what they were in 2020 when at all-time lows, right? Yes, price points are higher than what they were previously. Yes and yes. But why should you buy now? Why can you what opportunities are there right now to still be able to buy or sell in today's market? So education replaces their old beliefs with new beliefs.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're trying to accomplish in these webinars. But overall, Frank, let me tell you, man, what you've been able to accomplish as well, and I know that you've been doing this for quite some time. The fact that now you are open to helping not only real estate buyers and sellers to, how would I say this? Not only are you helping them with their real estate journey, but now if they're not, because you used to only work with people who were ready, right? But now with what you're doing with the velocity of money, now you're even helping them get ready, which is a complete grand slam of an offer that I don't really see many people doing nowadays. Can you tell me more about how that's going? And like, why did you come up with that concept?
Yeah. So it's interesting because when I started my seminars in New York and New Jersey in 2018, it hit quick, right? Because when I came up with 3, 2, 1 and done, right? How do you buy a 3-family, a 2-family, a 1-family, $1 million in real estate for less than 40 grand? Great. But still only like, 1 out of 20 or 2 out of 20 took me up on that. And then everyone's like, oh, you're the investment property guy. And I'm like, no. I'm not the investment property guy. I want to show people how to buy multiple pieces of real estate, but maybe I didn't frame it right and say 80% of our loans are owner occupied, first time home buyer, owner occupied, or refis, of course. And so I reframed it now to listen, I want to show everybody how to buy 3 pieces of real estate, but it starts with your first home. But the beauty is our products are that we're going to show you how to buy your first home and potentially turn it into a rental and then repeat that performance. Now, we're missing to your point, a whole audience of people. America has no idea how to buy real estate. And I say that respectfully, right? Here's why I say it respectfully. Typically, they go to a loan officer or an agent, or they go to the agent and they say, you need a pre-approval. And then the loan officer takes the pre-approval and says, here, you could buy 400,000. And the client the whole time is barely educated and they're insecure and they go back to the realtor and they think they want to buy and they're freaked out, right? Because the largest purchase they ever made before was like a car. So we want to start people very early in the journey. Now, if somebody thinks they're ready to buy now, we're going to educate the heck out of them so they understand. And we just completed our 9-module video series that we're actually going to sell for like dirt cheap, that shows people everything, what the banks don't tell you, how to get the best interest rate, how to not pay mortgage insurance if you put less than 20% down. 23 years of my experience and $3 billion in loans, I'm giving everybody everything. Why? Because they might not buy for a year, they might not buy for 2 years, but it bothers me when renters think they should rent. And the speech I give all the renters is, well, if I could show you a way to put $20,000 a year in your pocket from year one, and that number grows every year after, would you let me show you the math? Because you can't rent, you got to own real estate, right? And so America thinks about flipping, America thinks about appreciation. America gets equity in their home as they get older, 40, 50 years old, and they think they have money. They don't have money, it's buried in the backyard. They have to know how to use that money to buy more real estate. So to answer your question, you and I have been working on together with Jasmine, of course, a series that helps the person, whether they're ready to buy in a week or they might not buy for a year. And also the beauty of what we're doing at the Velocity Money is there's a whole market segment that we're going to show why they need to buy more real estate if they already own a home. And that creates a whole market that doesn't exist today. See, the problem with real estate right now and mortgage is it's a zero-sum game. Everybody is chasing the same Zillow lead or the same lead that whatever company was selling. But guys like you and I are creating a market through education. And if we create a market through education, then we're going to create a universe of people that want to stay with us, right? Because one of the things I help realtors do is let me show you how to do 3 deals with the same client, because we're going to make people millionaires, right? And that's good for the client and that's good for us as lenders, but it's 100 times better for the client. We're changing their retirement future and we're changing their family's future from a generational wealth perspective. So all what you and I've been collaborating on is, I talk in football terms a lot, right? Because I love football, is the first 20-yard line. And actually, even before that, like some people are sitting in the end zone going, 100 yards is really far. I think I'm just going to sit in the end zone for a while. And next thing you know, they wake up, they're 35 and they're still renting. No, you can't rent. I don't care what anybody says. You can't rent. And we have the math to prove it. So I'm excited about it, as you see.
So I'll ask you some questions about that, because I actually have always had opposing thoughts to that. I've always had a lot. But by the way, I'm about to talk about another celebrity here. So his name is Grant Cardone, of course. A lot of people know Grant, and his method is to rent.
Yeah.
But what people like, and that's like what's controversial, because people think he's telling everyone that, hey, please rent is going to be cheaper than to buy, and all that good stuff. But when you actually get into his core, that's actually to create buzz. Yes. Things that are controversial are really good buzzwords and things like that, to be able to get hype, be able to get people, tuning into his channel, which is great. But once you get into his courses, which I have taken myself, you're going to start to learn that, yes, it's okay to rent, but there's always the but. You need to have assets to support it.
Yeah.
Because if you're living a lifestyle where you're able to move around wherever you want, renting might actually be the right option for you. But if you're basically renting every single month and you don't have any assets to support it, any assets to pay for that rent, then there is no real value or gain that you're having from renting, other than the perks of not really have anything, for yourself, and not having any responsibilities for the property other than keeping care of it while you're there, right?
Right. Well, I would love to sit on stage in front of 50,000 people and have a debate with Grant. And because I agree, right? That the second part of what you said, 100% I agree with him. But let me go the other way first, and then I'll come back to that argument. So number one, here's my slide, right? You own it and you have stability, right? That's huge, especially to our wives and our children. That's not financial, but that's emotional. Number one, everybody dreams of the white picket fence in the suburbs. Number two, Nobody understands tax deductibility. First-time homebuyers do not understand tax deductibility. Quickly, in a nutshell, if you're a W-2 employee and you make 100 grand a year and you pay 20,000 in interest and taxes, you're getting a proportionate amount of money back from the IRS. So
Right.
here's my number. It's 20,000 a year in your pocket. Tax deductibility gives them 3,000 to 6,000 back. Check. April 15th from Uncle Sam. Number two, amortization. They don't understand amortization. On a $300,000 loan, 4,000 or 5,000 would be paid down in year one. And that amortization goes up year after year. It gets bigger and bigger of how much is paid off the loan. That's number two. Number three is real estate in America, literally over the last 100 years, has averaged 3.8% appreciation. So if you buy a $400,000 home, even at 3%, that's $12,000 in gain. Okay. So those are the things that we're doing when we own. Now, is real estate an asset or a liability? I ask real estate agents this all the time, and I get both answers. You know why I get both answers? Because the answer is both. It's a liability if you and I have to go to work to pay our mortgage. It's an asset if it's spitting off income, which is what Grant Cardone's talked about. So this is the beauty of why him and I are probably more equally yoked than people would think, is that my program shows people, why don't we show you how to buy a property owner occupied, but understand it through the eyes of an investor, and after a year, turn that into a rental. Now, if you do that 3 times and you buy $1 million in real estate for less than 40 grand, which is ridiculous. We have that, right? And then those are 3 rentals, and say the rentals make $600 or $700 a month cash flow while you have a mortgage. So you're making $1,800 a month cash flow, right? Now you go buy a piece of real estate on a house that your wife loves, and say your mortgage is $3,500. Half of that is being paid for by your tenants. Okay. And you still get the deductibility on your mortgage interest. You still get the amortization. You still get the appreciation. And your total net worth is growing based on the assets that you have, which is $1 million or $1.5 million in real estate. And that's how you grow net worth. Now, fast forward to Grant Cardone. If you go buy apartment buildings, or if you buy a couple 2 families that you never move into and it spits off income, yeah, you could probably rent for free. But the easier way to do it, because the 23-year-old starts out with less money, right? The easier way to do it is do a low down payment owner occupied loan, live there a year, turn it into a rental, and we build up assets. And by the way, in our coaching program, the $1 million in real estate for less than 40 grand, I show people how to do it for 16.5. So wait, you can buy $1 million in real estate for 16.5. We can prove to you that historically that million is going to double in 18 and a half years. And we're going to show you how to have other people pay it off for you and have no debt on that real estate in 15 to 18 years. Are you kidding me? It's ridiculous. And it starts with the first-time home buyer. So I agree to some of his points, but I can prove the math otherwise.
Gotcha, man. So in other words, what is it that's that makes it, easy for a home buyer to be able to buy a home in today's market? Like what aspects for a home buyer is the easiest part that you would see in the home buying process? And what will be the more difficult aspects to, that you can also include into that?
Sure. So easy, W-2 employees, cut and dry. Debt to income ratio either works or doesn't. We tell them what they can afford. Boom. More difficult is, I always make the joke at my seminars, and I think you know this answer. Who's the most cheated on guy in America?
Who?
Uncle Sam. Right? I know, it's literally one of our slides. Here's why, though. Like, self-employed borrowers kill themselves because they don't want to pay Uncle Sam. So I always say, well, you can't cheat the government and then get a government loan, right? IRS, government, Fannie, Freddie, FHA, government. So guys, self-employed borrowers, you're making your life more difficult than you need to. We show people how to show the appropriate amount of income, right? So that you qualify. I don't love paying Uncle Sam either, believe me. But you don't have to show 20 grand. You got to show something appropriately. Now, this market is difficult, right? So some people would say, okay, how do I buy real estate? Well, we have this thing called the Power 4, which is the 4 quadrants of how to buy real estate. It's not based on appreciation. If you're buying it owner occupied, which takes advantage of the low down payment, But then looking at it through the eyes of investor, it shows you what you would get in rent roll after. So it's difficult now because rates are high and values are high to find the right deal. But that doesn't mean that there's no deals. That just means that you have to play with our formula, play with the spreadsheet. And that's the beauty of the difficulty, is that once you find that property that the spreadsheet sings, now you know you pounce because there are still deals out there. Then you add, can I use this as a vacation rental? Because I do that because I love to visit my vacation rentals, because you're going to get more revenue. So inventory's tight, but the beauty of our program is that it actually takes interest rates and property values out of the equation. Why? Because if it has the cash flow, if it has the yield, doesn't matter what the rate is, because actually when we refi, it's going to increase the cash flow. So W2 easy, self-employed, we can make it easier. They make their life difficult. It's definitely a tight market, but that's where the experts shine in a tight market on helping people buy real estate.
Got you. Wow. But so I got to ask you, man, why did you even start this in the first place?
Honestly, here's the answer.
Because it's been a long time coming, but like we don't really talk about the why too often, right?
Yeah, let me give you a little history. I bought my first piece of real estate in 1995. It was a family home. It was my grandmother's home. I had no idea what I was doing. She got sick, had to go to a nursing home, and I was the 8th grandchild in order. Asked my brother, he was the oldest. He didn't want to buy it. I was the only one. Just got done playing minor league baseball. I literally had $23 in my bank account because I was making, this is really bad, $650 a month in the minor leagues. So I didn't have any money. But I got my uncle on the other side of the family, and we figured out a way to buy the house. Now, values went up. I thought I was smart. I bought something else. Values went up. I thought I was smart. I bought something else until 2005, when I bought stuff that I shouldn't have, and values went down, and I got crushed. So fast forward or back to 2001, I got in the mortgage business, and by 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8, I had a pretty big mortgage company. Fast forward, got crushed in 08 because of the mortgage crisis. 2018, I own a company with my buddy Tommy McHugh called America's Mortgage Lender. And I'm no longer an owner of that company, but he and I had a great little run together, and rates went up. And it was January in New Jersey. And I was literally putting golf balls in my office to myself. You know, those machines, the ball comes back, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like we don't have loans. Like, what are we doing here? And I just started writing the Velocity Money stuff. I started thinking about what I did right, what I did wrong, what are the formulas. I hired a marketing person. It was before Jasmine. She was still in college or high school. I don't even know. And started putting stuff together. And I invited 75 realtors to my office. And I started showing people the formula on how to buy real estate. And that's when I came up with 3, 2, 1 and done. And I trademarked it. So it was just sort of like, after reading the book, The Blue Ocean Strategy, a few years earlier.
By who?
I don't know. It's called The Blue Ocean Strategy. I forgot the name of the author. That book talks about how do you differentiate yourself in a market where you're a commodity, right? So look, guys, I say this all the time. As lenders, we all have the same products. As lenders, certainly we're going to be very competitive on rates, because if I wasn't, you would never use me. Right. And realtors too. I say to the realtors, guys, you're a commodity as an agent until you prove otherwise, until you educate people, until you have value to them. And as a lender, I was like, I could have the Honda robot give an interest rate that has no value. I need to educate people. And that's why I do it. And then while looking at people's finances in the first 10 years in the mortgage business, I realized that America had a problem, right? The problem is finances and budgeting. And the problem is retirement, right? I can't tell you, it breaks my heart to see a 71-year-old person who worked their whole life to pay off their mortgage, and say they live in the north where the taxes are high, and they have $13,000 in property taxes. They can't even afford to stay in the house and pay their property taxes because their Social Security is their only form of retirement. So, like, it's not as hard as we think. It's the least educated group in America, and all anybody ever thinks about is appreciation. So I literally have a heart for helping 10,000 everyday Americans retire using real estate. And I love talking about it. And I was really just didn't want to just do loans. I wanted to be special. I wanted to help the country. So that's kind of the history and where it started and what it's come to now.
Gotcha, man. So far, like, yeah, it's been a long time coming.
It has. And here's the crazy thing. We've done probably 400 or 500 loans from our seminars. I have over 200 people that have bought multiple properties. I have people, I talked to a borrower yesterday. He's on his 5th property, man. He was sitting at that live seminar in Morristown, New Jersey, like this, listening to every word I said. The guy's got a $2 million portfolio that'll be paid off right now in 12 years.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing. I love helping people and I love talking about that stuff. And as I said in the beginning, I didn't do a great job of blanketing the country. That's why we're going to partner up together and we're going to get to more people more quickly. And we've dummied down the material. That's not a great word. We've created modules so that we're giving people bite-sized information.
Yeah, we simplified the process.
We're refining it. And when people get in their first home and they're excited, then we can advance them. We're going to start doing quarterly boot camps. We're going to, the coaching program is live now. I help people who want to be real estate millionaires. And we just need to get to more people because I don't think there's a system like this in America. Nobody has married mortgage and real estate the right way. And I could consider myself an expert because I've bought and sold 53 properties. So I've done it. And believe me, not every one of them went perfectly. Some of them went poorly because I didn't follow my strategy because I didn't even have the strategy yet. And I did things based on cool beach town or cool mountain. No, if it doesn't fit in the spreadsheet, if it doesn't have the calculation, you don't buy it. So we are super excited. I feel like you were the missing piece to getting to the country because I'm super impressed with your organization. And I am just super fired up to help as many people as we can.
Yeah. I wish I would have said yes sooner, to be honest. But that things happen for a reason sometimes. Maybe like I personally at the time that you had asked me to work with you, I probably wasn't ready personally. So
Right.
I'm really happy that we're working together now on this, and I'm really happy that we know we're hitting the ground running, and we're going to get as many home buyers as educated as possible. That's the impact. Forget about the money. The money is like it's going to be a byproduct. But at the end of the day, we're going to be helping a lot of home buyers get into homes, become real estate millionaires. Not only that, but to be able to have more impact in their lives, to be able to support their families financially, especially where the market conditions haven't been as favorable in these past few years, aside from 2020 and also during COVID.
Yeah.
But
yep. And that's
I'm very happy to see that.
Yeah, that's the beauty is now is when velocity money is really needed because I just got done training a bunch of agents last month,
Right.
30 agents at a very powerful office. So we train agents, we train loan officers, we train buyers to buy real estate because this is the formula that's going to help change people's lives. So, well, this was wonderful. Thanks for your time. I know you're super busy helping loan officers, agents, buyers all over the country. Guys, we're starting our series literally in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So stay tuned for that marketing piece. They're going to be virtual seminars that we're going to start doing weekly. It's going to be free information for the clients. And then we have a whole slew of things that we're going to help them become buyers. And any last words, Robert, before we jump off?
No, that this isn't only for buyers. This is for just about anybody. Because even realtors, loan officers that want to participate, as long as you guys are not soliciting during our webinars, we're good. But this is free education for you guys as well. This is for everybody who wants to participate, that is actually looking to help themselves or help others.
Yep. And we're looking for loan officers all over the country. And we have this really cool program called the Agent Partner Program, where we're helping agents do more business through the velocity money. So it's an abundance mentality. It's a collaboration of information, and we're rocking and rolling. So
I like the way that sounds. Collaboration of information.
Yeah, I didn't even realize I said it.
All right, man.
Good stuff.
What about you, man? What do you have to say that for as last words for your audience?
Well, all I got to say is, I believe real estate's the answer. I believe that it's not as difficult as everybody thinks. And we have a slide, by the way, that shows now is a better time to buy than 2 years ago. And I show people the math. So reach out. This is Robert's information, robert@tunedupmarketing.com. You guys have my info. I think, oh, there it is. Hello at the velocityofmoney.com. We'd love to chat with you if you're a realtor, loan officer, buyer, doesn't matter, renter, people that want to learn a little bit about real estate. We're here to help.
All right. Thank you for having me.
All right, guys. See everybody soon.